is the Better Life, Better Work show, and I'm your host, Allison Crow. I'm an intuitive life and business coach here to help you create better life and better work. I help super successful people, the recovering overachievers, put the soul back in their lives, and I help soulful people create success. On this show, topics range from the mystic to the logistic, and our content will support your being and your doing while on your path to create better life and better work. More is not better. Better is better. Hey, y'all. Allison Crow here, and I'm excited. This is episode number 99. And today I have one of our Super Soulies. That means she's been a member of Soulful Success for over a year. And she contributes to our group so often. She has also contributed to my life. I've done lots of, I call it mini works with you. I do spot treatment with you. I'm sure you have other longer term clients, but Heather is a former therapist turned gluten-free, sugar-free baker and author and bakery owner turned hardcore Tony Robbins coach, full stop energy healer. That is like the full D, little D dots. And what we're talking about today with Heather is the energy healing that she does. And I'm going to finish introing her here real quick. I want to acknowledge that I have hired Heather, my own client, to help me with abundance and prosperity stuff. I have hired her to help clear energy in my dogs. I have hired you to help me clear energy around heartburn because I had chronic heartburn, and you did muscle testing on foods and stuff. And you give so generously in our groups, and you give so generously on your Facebook lives and things on a regular basis. You provide so many opportunities for people to experience this work that's hard to describe. Yeah. So welcome. Welcome to the Better Life, Better Work show. Glad to have you. What you want to talk about today, woman? How did life get better through energy healing for you?
Oh gosh, it's such a great question. And, it's such a journey because my personality is I'm skeptic. Like I question everything. Like when I was in college, I literally got word for the person who asked the most questions. Right? And it's just my nature, right? I just have questions. And so I always wanted to know, like, how can I feel better? Because I struggled for so much of my life feeling like shit, like just feeling terrible. And so that's where the food stuff came in, and I became a health coach, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much with this. Like I can change how I feel in an instant when I change how I eat. So that was like the beginning of the journey for me. Mm-hmm. And as you said, like I had a bakery, and then when I started coaching for Tony Robbins is because I was like, I don't want to go back to therapy. Therapy has so many great points. We need to have people listen to our stories and witness them. And there's healing in that. And we need to stop telling our story and create a new one. And that's where coaching is really great. Right? But within the Tony Robbins world, my experience was at the time, there's shifts and changes now, but at the time it was like, just change your state. Like, you're not happy, just change state. Just stand differently and say how you talk, say what you'd say if you were happy. And I'm like, if they would have it easy, we'd all be doing this. Right. And I was feeling just this heaviness in my chest, and I couldn't explain it. And I would have people coach me that I went through training with, and they'd coach me and they'd say, again, just stand how you'd stand and all this stuff. And I'm like, listen, I'm trying not to curse a lot, but
you can curse all you want. Clearly, I don't.
Hard. I'm like, if that worked, I would be doing that. Like we were both trained in the same thing. And so then they tell me that I was uncoachable. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help anybody. Like you have two tools in your toolbox. They're not working. And now you're blaming me. So I had a friend who was getting certified in the body code, which is the energy work that I do. And she's like totally woo-woo, love her to pieces. And we have these conversations all the time. Like she knows so much exponentially more than I do. Sometimes I'm like, it's just too much. but she was like, can I work on you and work on your heart wall and see if you have a heart wall and work on it? And she's like, you don't have to do anything. I can do all the work. Like, you don't have to do a thing. And I was like, it's ridiculous. But if I don't have to do anything, sure, why not? If I'm helping a friend out. And within 2 weeks, like I didn't feel that heaviness on my chest anymore. And I was like, there's something to this. And I was a person who, when everybody's like, everything is energy. And I'm like, how is like this metal file? How is this? There's no movement in that. Like, it's not energy. Like, even still now, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I still like question it all the time. But the shift that I felt was like, crap, I have to put aside my pride and explore it. So I started using it with my clients. And, you know, in those types of environments, you have very high caseload, you know, and you're just turn and burn clients, right?
Yeah.
And I'd see these clients who, like, here's a great story. I had this client she was raised in Texas, and you might be able to attest to this. She was bottle fed Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I believe it.
Right. That's what I've been told. Okay. So she was like mid-50s, addicted to Dr. Pepper, had been having it her whole entire life. We did all the health coaching things around, you know, eat more greens, drink more water, nothing. So I was like, well, let's try some energy work around it. So I'm doing the energy work, and I do it all like outside of our calls, which even then when I was coaching for Robbins, I'm like, I'm giving them way more than they were, you know, than I was getting paid for. That's for
right.
sure. But we get on a call, and I'm like, you know, how are things going with Dr. Pepper? And she's like, oh, I had like one in the past 2 weeks, but, you know, I just haven't really wanted one. And I'm like, did you hear yourself? She's like, I don't know why I just didn't want one. I'm like, how about all those voice memos that I sent with all the energy work that I did? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And that's what I love about it, is it's really hard to pinpoint, right? That like it works. But I just see too many experiences like that where it's like, oh, this works. It's like there's something to it.
Yeah, it's freaky. And I've had enough experience. In like 2011, I had another colleague that is emotion code and body code certified. And I had done a session or maybe 3 sessions with her on my anxiety. And I was having panic attacks. And so as we went through the process, like, just she knew things, not like a psychic, but when she would do the muscle testing, she honed in on ages and certain relatives and things. And after that, I did not have a panic attack for 7 years. And when I've had them since then, they have been very, not the kind that close at my chest. And like, it's more like, oh, I realize my heart rate is up. And so then all these years later, I come across you and I'm like, oh, I am down with this stuff. I get it. Even when you do these little gift mini clearings on Friday nights for Soulies, there's no obligation, by the way, to ever continue that. I'm so appreciative of it. Yeah. And you do these little mini clearings, and I always put my name on the list. And I am amazed at the tiny little bits of information that are so right on. And what I love is that you're not necessarily a mystic. You are a skeptic. And so you're the skeptic doing this energy healing. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fascinating to me. Every time I go to do work on somebody, I'm like, I hope this works, you know? And I think that that's part of, you know, what makes it fun all the time is like, cause then I'll touch base with people and be like, I had a great story this morning. I was on the call with a client and she had recently lost her husband. And so, and she's like, you know, all of the stuff that we've done has allowed me to be in this peaceful place with all of this. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, she has grief. Yes, she has sadness, but she's like, it just flows through her. Right. Instead of being stuck. And she's like, I tried to go on like Facebook groups of like, you know, like widows. And she's like, I can't, they're so like heavy because they're not like feeling it. But she's like, you know, when I go into the bathroom where she found her husband, she's like, I'm just having a hard time with that. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's work on it. You know, we talked this morning and I was like, you know, how is it going to the bathroom? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. She's like, it's not, you know, it's just not a thing now. she's like, I think it helped. I'm like, you think?
Yeah. Well, I get that as human beings, when we're thinking about the concrete physical world, not the abstract physical world, because I do believe energy and this kind of work is physical. We're not able to touch it. We always want to have something to touch. We want to have a certain kind of concrete evidence. And in my experience, I have enough evidence that there's no way there could be that many circumstances, at least in the work that I've had done. I think it was, you and I did some abundance work. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before. I can't keep the date straight. It's not worth clearing for me. But very shortly after that series, and it was intense. I mean, it's like I've gotten so far in abundance, and then I would hit, like, Heather, I'm stuck. And you always say, you're not stuck. I want to call the title of this episode, You're Not Stuck. And a lot of times it's not about our doing. And sometimes it's this really old, latent, cellular clog. And I remember right after we did our work, I had like a $35,000 a month. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I did. And I totally have blown through. And I've had more $30,000 months than I've ever, I might have one a year or something. I've had them consistently since then.
Yeah.
And even more than the money. I mean, the money is tangible, but what I don't have is I don't have the blah blahs, we've been calling that lately, the blah blah thoughts going through my head. It's literally like they've just, my girlfriend and I, we'd always go, you're cleared. And mine is, I'm bastardizing that, but it's gone. It makes me happy. I know I'm kind of corny this morning. I've had a lot of coffee and no water. Not good to tell somebody who's in the total health. So how do you, by the way, I also forgot to mention that Heather's a 2-time author. She's written a cookbook and a book called Love Yourself. So I want to acknowledge her for that, because publishing books is a BFD. What else healing work do you want to share about your work?
Well, I think that's something that's really missing, and because I'm starting to see this in some people that I follow who do energy work, and I'm like, yes, finally. When I left Tony Robbins, I'll tell that story, because I was doing energy work on my clients, and I was seeing better results, faster results, and not only that fast, but like they were becoming the person instead of just doing the actions. Right? Like just
performative, that's come up 3 or 4 times in the last day, right? So like performative religion, performative anti-racism, and performative coaching, it's extrinsic. It's not intrinsic.
Yes. Yeah. And I say this story all the time. Like when I know we're going to go in circles here, but I want to tell this story because it's super important. A lot of times people come to coaching and they'll say, I need somebody to hold me accountable. And I had this, it's like, I had this woman one time who, she was a chef and she wanted to do cooking videos for YouTube. And she's like, you need to hold me accountable and check in with me every day to make sure I'm doing it. And right, I had the same reaction. And I'm like, dude, like, again, like not at all what I want to be doing. And just the energy about it was like, so I said, I was like, listen, I said, tell me about something that you really loved to do and that you're proud of doing. And she said, and at the time I scoffed, but she was like in my head, she was like, being a dog mom to my dog. And I was like, I can't even imagine like why she would pick that one. Now I do, because now I'm a dog owner. But she was like, being a dog owner, my dog. And I said, okay. And I said, she's like, I'm really proud of the way I did that. And I said, what, when you got the dog, did you tell them, they said, can you please call me every day and remind me to feed the dog? And she's like, no. And I'm like, did you call them every day and say, hey, I let the dog out? And she's like, no, like, you're ridiculous. Why are you asking this? And I said, so you did those things because why? She said, because I was the dog's mom. I'm like, oh, your identity was aligned. Like you were aligned with the identity of being a dog's mom. So you just naturally did those behaviors. You naturally picked up poop without anybody telling you, and you didn't have to tell anybody. You naturally fed the dog. And I'm like, so your identity was that. The actions flowed from that. You didn't have to force it. I said, how much do you feel aligned with being someone who teaches people cooking videos? And she's like, not at all. And I'm like, and so I could sit here and hold you accountable all day long, but if we don't release all the stuff that's preventing you being in alignment with that identity, it's going to waste both of our time.
Right.
You know?
And then it's frustrating because you're like, it didn't work. And then there's a bad feeling. Or, yes.
Right. And there's you say the term all the time. I say the term all the time. There's that both end, right? Like I can't be doing all the energy work and then not doing anything. Like I could do all the energy work in the world, but if you're eating a terrible diet, you're not taking care of yourself, you're sitting in front of the TV, there's only so much I can do for you. Like you have to make that choice, right? To become that person. The energy work gives the space. So I was saying about so why I left Robbins. I was feeling, it was going back to alignment, right? It's like I was feeling that heaviness, and my friend worked on it. But then a couple of years into working for the company, I was again feeling like I couldn't breathe. And there was about a 6-month period where I could not breathe. It got to the point where I was like, maybe I have cancer, maybe I have lung cancer, maybe like something. Couldn't breathe. I would be on every call and I'm like, and I'm like, I'm fine, it's okay. But they would just kept hearing me do that. And my one girlfriend was like, you just need to quit. And I'm like, I can't do that. What am I going to do? And it got to the point where I was like, okay, they want me to coach in this certain way to just say, well, just change your state, just write up an RPM for it, which is their time management system. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't be that kind of coach. I want the space to be able to go deeper with my clients. 30 minutes is a quick time for a coaching call. Like most people are just getting warmed up, you know? And I want to be able to do the energy work and feel good about what I'm giving them, because I do a lot of work on the back end with working with my clients. And so I got to the point where I was like, I'm not in alignment anymore. And that period, when we realize we're not in alignment and we know we have to make a change, but I don't know what else is there, it's way more comfortable to stick to this other thing.
Been there.
Yeah. It's
stayed an extra 2 years.
Right. It's so scary, right? And it does cause physical manifestations for us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why do so many people have all these maladies? They're like, even people who are like, for me, I'm like, I eat really well, I exercise, why can't I breathe? And it, like, literally now I think back and it's like, you can't breathe, you feel constricted. I felt so constricted in that environment. I was not able to just be like, and serve the way that I wanted. And so I started this saying about how, about energy work is that I'm seeing more people talk about how we need to combine the conscious level work and the unconscious level work. And I'm like, I've been saying that for years. Like, this is what I've been doing. And thankfully I have the skills, because there's a lot of energy workers who are just energy workers. There are a lot of coaches, therapists who are just coaches, right? And I'm able to combine both of them.
Well, actually all three, because you have mind, body, and energy. So you, and then what I love is when you have multidisciplinary tools, you can use your intuition in the specific context of the client to say, here's the mind stuff. By the way, we're going to clear these emotions, and you're clearly drinking way too much caffeine, and water would help. Or your diet is sugar. And by the way, these are the side effects. The body is a miracle.
Yeah.
And there is so much more wisdom in our biology and our body than even our brain. Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel like my own coaching. Now, I am not an expert in the nervous system. I am not an expert in healing. I am an expert in coaching and human behavior, who also is learning fast about energy and nutrition and nervous system. And those things combined together, like massive power up, faster results, more compassion, lighter in the body, forward movement with clients. It's like, all these things were missing those years.
Yes. Yeah. And I look back and think about like the people that I worked with when I worked as a therapist. I worked as a therapist first before I became a health coach. And I look at those kids that I worked with and I'm like, gosh, I could have served them so much better new, right? And then I worked as a therapist after having been trained as a health coach and a chef. And what was fascinating about that was that a lot of that world didn't want the help. And and the changes. I literally got removed from cases because I was like working with them. You know, when you have a kid who's 6 years old and they eat sugar and then like 20 minutes later, they're throwing stuff at you, running all over the place, you know, like it is so obvious. I talked to the social worker and I was like, we need to work on getting him off of sugar. I can't work with his behavior, you know, when we keep putting fire on it. And because she was addicted to soda herself, I got removed from the job.
Yeah.
The 2 cases were that were hers. And I was like, something is off here. Like, I can't work in this environment either. I just need to do my own thing because it's just, it all does come into play. And like, I can't, for me, I mean, I've shared, like, I love sugar, you know, just as much as the next person.
It's like crack cocaine.
Right.
Addictive. Yeah. Worse. Yeah.
It really is. And when I eat sugar, like, it doesn't matter how much energy work I do. Like, I am like, the world is just a mess and we're going to hell in a handbasket. And I mean, it definitely seems like that now, right? You have to have sugar, but like, I can't manage myself when I have sugar. So it doesn't matter how much energy work I do. And I've done enough work on myself that like energy work to release so much stuff that like, I'm so much more aligned with this beautiful, compassionate, healthy person that like, it's like, well, I don't want to eat that. Like, it was alluring to me before, but now I'm like, why would I put that in this? Like, I just want to do it.
Well, and I want to go back and point out, I think I've had some other podcasts where we talk about identity, and identity is the beliefs that you have about yourself. And so when we identify, you know, all the times I would try to exercise or try to eat a certain way, and I had to shift my identity to be willing to choose. I just don't do obligation. I just don't do obligation. I don't do perform for others. I've been working on, spent 45 years working on my people pleasing shit, still working on it. Mm-hmm. And that never felt aligned. And so, in Soulies, we use the phrase, I am becoming, right? And so instead of, change my state, I am a healthy woman. It's like, no, I'm becoming a healthy woman, which gave me permission to be in the process of I'm becoming better and better at choosing foods that align with what my body is asking for, not just that are good for me.
Right.
And I'm becoming a woman who listens to her body. I'm becoming a woman who recognizes that when I have too many carbs, I notice the connection between these other things. And I know we're here talking about energy work, but you're exactly right. If we do the other things, it just helps it work better.
Yeah. It was like, and you talked about like the nervous system, right? When we've experienced trauma, which everybody has, right? Mm-hmm. There are people who are like, well, I haven't been sexually abused or I haven't been abandoned, blah, blah, blah. Like, trauma can be, when I was a kid, to go grocery shopping and my mom would tell me to go get something in another aisle, and I came back to the aisle and she wasn't there. Yes. And the story that I made up was I was abandoned. Mm-hmm. I wasn't. I had to go find her. But in my head, like, I was abandoned. That is also trauma. Right? Trauma isn't necessarily what happened. It's the belief, the story, right? The emotions around it. And so we have all those gunking up our, for lack of, more technical scientific terms, but like gunking up our nervous system, right? It just connects us, like disconnects us from the core of who we are, right? And we just think about like just, emotional baggage on top of just layered and layered and layered, right? And so it's really hard to make those choices about eating well, about, being in relationships that serve us instead of are toxic, right? Because we can't see our true selves. But once we can get rid of those things.
Well, and we're taught not to listen to our body. And one of the things I really like about the work that you do, my very first job when I was 15 years old was working for a kind of woo chiropractor who taught me muscle testing. I was 15. It was 1986 or 87. And so he would always do muscle testing, and before, instead of whack crack, he would do muscle testing. And I was always amazed. And I remember in college, I had a back accident, and I went to, not in college, after college, my husband took me to him, and I was, seized up in my back. And all he did was some muscle testing and some very gentle movement, no big whack. And my husband at the time was like, I don't understand how that worked. And so I was introduced to this concept, and I muscle test a lot of things. I muscle test price. Sometimes I remember and I muscle test food or what I want to eat. I muscle test a lot of things. I muscle test a lot of things in my business. And for me, what muscle testing is checking in with the truth of my body. And so one of the unique things about you is that it is possible to remote muscle test. Yes. It is ethical to only do it with permission. And part of working with you is giving you permission to connect with our energy and muscle test on behalf of us. Yeah. And it is mind-blowing how you're able to use your education, your training, to help me see my body's own truth, which makes me inspired to live in alignment with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what I love. And because I struggled so much that it's so like, and now I can be in this place where I'm like, I really do love myself. And when I hear women talking about these, voices in their head and stuff, I'm like, I don't have that. And not out of like, ooh, I don't have that, like judgment on them, right? It's just like, oh my gosh, like I don't have that anymore. Mm-hmm. I had that for years and years and years, right? But I'm like, it's so freeing and it's so nice and it's so peaceful to just not be in that place of angst,
So what kind of things do you work with clients on? What do people come to you for? I know I've come to you for my dog's anxiety. I've come to you to clear some abundance blocks. I've come to you with some health things like my heartburn. What kind of other things do people come to you for?
And everything. So I work with clients in a couple of different ways. My signature package is I work with people in a one-on-one 6-month program where we work specifically on what it is that they come to, whether it's a lot of people will come to me and they're like, I've done coaching, I've done therapy. There's still something deep that I cannot get to and I can't figure it out. And so working 6 months, I work through clearing out a whole bunch of stuff. We clear out a heart wall. We clear out all your energy centers, chakras, whatever term. We clear out what's called a human assemblage point. We clear out what's stopping your brain and heart messages from reaching your body tissues and taxes, a whole bunch of stuff before we work specifically on what it is that they came to me for, whether it's self-love, confidence, money stuff. A lot of it is I'm stuck and I don't know why. Like it's that general. I'm stuck in my life. I'm stuck in my body. I'm stuck in my finances. I have a client who I just cried because she 76 and struggled with night terrors. Mm-hmm. And, we were talking yesterday and she's like, you have no idea like how nice it is to not have those anymore and to not experience that. And she's like, she's just feeling more confident in herself and more like, wait, I could, like, yes, I did miss out on all the stuff in my life and there's still a future in front of me. So things like that, like it's really cool. I have a new client just started working with it. She's a coach herself, but she is struggling with some health stuff. And she also knows all the health stuff, but she's like, I need somebody who can work with me for this.
Say that again. Sorry, say that again. I'm going to mute while you talk. It gets recorded and Leroy can't be heard on the podcast.
She came to me because she wanted somebody who can work with her subconscious. She knows a lot of the conscious level stuff, but like, why am I not doing these things? And so we'll talk about like as a conversation unfolds, like this is where the therapist in me can pay attention to, oh, wait a minute, like, let me go down and explore that a little bit more. Tell me about that memory. We'll talk about it. Oh, what's the energetic charge of that memory? Oh, it's a 10. Okay. Yeah. And anything, we'll write it down so that I can work on it energetically so that we can release those memories so that when we talk about them and I, say, hey, how's this? They're like, oh yeah, it's not a thing now. Mm-hmm. So I really run the gamut of what people come to me for. But a lot of times it's like, I've tried all these other things. Let me try this.
I really respect and value the, I call it the matrix, because we are often, we're taught to do this thing in this linear world. I do the same thing. So it's like, I feel like I have this Mary Poppins bag of trained skills intuition, time on task, knowledge, education, all these different things. And when you're with a client, you know which soul medicine to use. And sometimes it is a very logical conversation, and other times it's following that emotion path. And then other times, what I think is neat about the body code and the work that I've done with you is when it picks up on these places of stored energy, one of the questions I ask myself a lot is it mine, or is it in my DNA from my ancestors? And even like when I get my little reports back from you, and you'll say, I remember some of the words, discouragement. I can't see. This is what's so funny. I'm not even tuned into the words, but it was amazing. The same ones. And you didn't know anything about the emotions that I felt as a 17-year-old. But even me making that connection with your report, which is just a few little details, it's almost like I would go, oh, and then it's like my connection with it logistically was also a part of my recognition of it. How they say recognition is a lot of the healing. I know I'm not talking about it very well, and I'm sure you and I, and a lot of the people listening too, we do this work that runs the gamut of both ends, from concrete to very esoteric, and it's really hard to talk about. And so I love that you've been out in the world giving people experiences of your work so they can, because that's the best way to know that it works, is to experience it.
Yeah, it is really fascinating. Is when things come up and people are like find this word. She was like, oh yeah, you mentioned 3 ages. She's like, I knew like those 3 ages, there were 3 significant things that happened. I'm like, well, I don't know. And people will sometimes be like, well, I don't want you to, you like, they think of you like a psychic or something like that. Where I'm like, that is not the case at all. Like, I don't walk around and I'm like in tune to people. I mean, I can walk around and be like, oh, I get like, this is where their energy is or not, like low level or high level, but like, I'm not seeing people's stories. I'm like, I don't have the capacity for that at all. Just, I don't even want to take that on myself. I work and then I forget, and somebody, messaged me and they're like, oh, well, you said this and there was that. And I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the paper. Like, I don't remember. I just do the work and then just.
Well, the work is, that's the other thing. The work is not like you sit down and do some seance and you channel some random shit from who knows in the ethers. You actually have a very methodical process, to go through the different systems of the body, the mind, emotions, all this other stuff. Yeah. It's actually it's like a spreadsheet. You don't have a spreadsheet, but in my brain, it's a spreadsheet more than it is this genie with a crystal 8-ball or something like that.
Yeah. I do have a list of questions that I developed probably since the last time that we've worked together, where I laugh at myself because I'm like, I've created more work for myself in doing this. But where I do go through, we'll ask the energetic charge of it. Then I'll ask, is it yours? Is it inherited or absorbed? Then we'll ask, we need to know the origin of it. If it's inherited, we'll clear it from whoever passed down, and the whole lineage, until the person that I'm working on. Then I ask, how safe is it to release it? Because I realize how safety is everything. And if it's not safe to release that belief, that memory, that trauma, it'll keep coming back. And then we'll ask how ready it is. And so it takes me so much longer to do the work, but I found that because I'm addressing it in multiple different ways, that it does, it does let it go quicker and more lasting. And I will say this, there are some things, people are like, there are times energy work doesn't work. Well, yes. And right? Like, what does work mean? Right? I've done work on myself where I've had injuries and the injury didn't heal right away. But some other things open up in my life as I opened up that. And so it's always a fascinating question to me. I do work on people relationships and they're like, why didn't I find the love of my life? And 2 days after we did the work.
Yeah, it's not a 1 + 2 = 3. The dog is going to bark again. Let me hit mute. I know there's going to be a pause. Hold on. Let's not do that, buddy. It's all good. It's all real life here on the Better Life, Better Work show. And I think that goes for a lot of things. We're in this Amazon Prime society, or what I call a tit for tat. Like we go to the grocery store, I hand them some money, they hand me some groceries. Everything is on demand. And I saw a meme or a quote or something, maybe even this morning on Instagram, and it talked about how a lot of times our suffering is actually our path and our gift. And while we're in the suffering, it doesn't feel good. But I've learned so much about abundance by struggling with abundance. Mm-hmm. I've learned so much. So the question you asked last Friday night for people to, tune in with was, is it safe for me to create abundance? It was a reverse system. And creating abundance is one thing, but the safety is a whole nother. And so, even if you have all the capacity to create abundance, there could be something, just this one little thing telling you that, you have the capacity, but it's not safe. That the awareness of that is, well, you and I are so much alike. We love the deep, juicy stuff. I can't even talk, Heather. The juicy stuff. We like it juicy. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock. I have a few more really important things I want to ask you. How is life since you got Charlie, the cutest dog ever with the tuft of hair? Y'all, Heather was while she picks up Charlie on the video, Charlie, she was like, oh, dog people. And then one day she's like, I think I'm going to get this puppy. And I was like, as her coach, I was like, by the way, opening up to a puppy will open you up to relationship love. Like you think your heart is open now, you're going to die. And so it's been really fun to watch you become a dog mom.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I'm still not a dog person. I'm definitely a Charlie person. I'm definitely partial to the doodle mixes. He came to me through a plant medicine ceremony. And it was like, you need to open up to more love and joy in your life. And I'd learned about doodle mixes like right before this. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get one. During that ceremony, I just kept feeling the energy of a dog come in. And I looked at this app the next day and found an ad for Cavapoos for $800, which they're usually like $1,600, $1,800. And it was in between like where I was and home. Right. And so I didn't even need to like go out of my way. And he was the color that I wanted, and I wanted a boy. And when I first saw him, I was like, because he doesn't totally look like most Cavapoos. I was like, I don't know, but he just wouldn't leave me alone. And I was like, okay. So I came home with the dog, and I had nothing, not a harness or leash or food or anything. Well, we figured it out. He's the sweetest thing. And I mean, life with him is he's my little spirit dog for sure. Mm-hmm. And then I started dating somebody a couple months later that is not anybody I would ever pick for myself. We are completely opposite in so many ways. He's got vices that I think are horrifically disgusting. And we're so different in so many ways, but he's taught me so much. And so, I mean, and even in the midst of now, I love that I have Charlie to take out for walks, and it gives me an excuse, I don't feel like alone or isolated or anything. Right. And he's the sweetest little thing in the world. This is his nap time, so he's a bit like...
He's fun. And you're fun. It's fun to watch you with him. My daughter just got... I can't tell how old he is because he's huge, but she has the Labradoodle version, the giant version of Charlie. And it's fun to watch her parent, so to speak. Like she's always loved our dogs. Anyways, I know this has nothing to do with your work and all that other stuff, but
it does. Like I hadn't done all this work on myself. I remember so many times I never wanted to get an animal because I knew how much like capacity I had to love and how much like I wasn't willing to feel the hurt, because feeling the love, I feel the hurt, right? And it's like, okay, like and now I'm finally at a place where I'm like, I can do this. Like I'm open.
Right. Okay, so my quick round questions. One tip for better life.
Hire me.
I love that. Yes. One tip for better work.
Hire me.
I love that. It's funny because, you share your work often in there, and my Soulie group is different. I actually like for you guys to cross-pollinate. I like for you guys to share your heart and show your work. I do not have a no selling rule in the group, because energetically and emotionally and mentally, I want people to feel confident. Like you said, like the best tip I can give you is to work with me. And you believe so much that you can help people that's your best tip. I love that. What's it like being a Soulie?
For me, leaving the Robbins world, which is super masculine, I've said like coming into a world that's much more feminine, but there is that masculine. There's the both and, the acknowledgement, you need to do, but then also like sometimes you need to just not do and just, go into the feminine more. So I appreciate that, and just having a community. And I'm not, I do this work all the time, not to say I don't need to be coached, but I don't need somebody that I have to talk to every week for X amount of time. Not at that stage anymore. So it's nice for me to be able to dip in, when I do, I show up. I need to, when I can show up on the calls, if I'm not having calls myself, like it's great, but just like having that community for me, where I am in my life, I think it's super important that I'm still in an environment where I'm being challenged and grown and learn. And I appreciate, because I do always get something from you, from other people. So I appreciate, it's a great container like that I needed in my life, to have that community, to have the supports. I love it.
And you look super cute in your Breathe Y'all t-shirt. And have you gotten clients from Soulies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. It makes me, it's so funny because I was in my corporate world. It was just like, you better not work with anybody else. And I always tell y'all I lead from within the circle. And it's so fun for me to see y'all working with each other and experimenting with different modalities. And
I work with people from the group too. Like I've hired them. So
yeah, awesome. I'm checking in, see if there's anything else that my body wants to ask you. Oh, let me tell you. So you have Energy Healing with Heather. Is that your main website?
So yeah, it's Energy Healing with Heather, heathere.com. The Heather E pushes to the Energy Healer.
Okay.
You can go to whatever.
heathere.com or Energy Healing with Heather. We'll put all this in the show notes. Are you still doing lives on Facebook regularly for people to experience your work?
Yeah, I am. I try to do it weekly, but it doesn't always happen. I'm going to do one tonight. So yeah, we'll do sessions where I work on people. We don't do like full on set. Well, sometimes I do. Somebody comes to the call with something we'll work on, whatever it is, so that they can see the work. And I am in the Soulie group, doing on Fridays, like Financial Fridays. And that's been really fun for me, and realizing like I want to do that more. And I'm actually creating an abundance, I'm toying around with the name, but like aligning with abundance or something like program, to work on the both end, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So a bunch of stuff like in the works going on. And I do have a quiz to check if you have energy keeping you stuck. And that's just fun to see, like, because we're like, oh, I'm fine. I know I was always like, I'm fine. And then I like do these assessments. And I'm like, oh crap, I wasn't. So it's just Energy Healing with Heather /trapped/energy/quiz or dash.
Okay. So you're going to send me that link so that I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
We can also put it in the comments for the live people, but we actually probably will have a lot more podcast listeners than we actually have live viewers. That reminds me that I remember having a call in 2011 or 12 with this woman. I still respect and adore her. And I remember telling her my dreams, and she doesn't do body code, but she said, I was caught off guard because she was very clear, and she just said, you don't have the capacity to hold that right now. And I didn't know what she meant at the time. And I knew enough to not be offended, but I was like, what does that mean? I don't have capacity. And what I get now is intention and capacity, especially with money or with having a certain size business or having a relationship. It is an energy thing. And she described to me, so she does a different kind of work, but she described this little dome that was over me. And at the time there was some TV show with a dome, and it was really weird, but I had this dome over me. And she is like, you've got some work to do to expand your dome. And, but it like, especially now that I've worked with you and I see, I fully get what she was talking about. She was coming in through a different door. But one of the things, the values of working with you is helping people. We all have these ideas and dreams and desires. And then where we are, and there's that space in between. And you help us move into the capacity for that. And it's not enough to have desire. And it's not enough to just have action. We have to have, our body has to be, like you said, my heart had to be a certain kind of open that Charlie gave you. And I hope that does your work just a slice of justice. There was something I was like, oh, I need to call Heather for this. And I can't remember what it is now, but I'll probably be back on your roster soon. And I obviously appreciate that you are on mine. Thank you for taking the time today to be on the podcast and share about your work. It is an honor. That sounds so like trite, but when I think about the people that come into Soulful Success, and I think you came to me through ad campaigns. Didn't you? Right? Like, and so a lot of the ad people came and weren't in alignment, and you came and you stay and you serve and you receive when you need to receive. And even this morning, somebody was asking for feedback and you were willing to be the contrarian and create a side dial. I love that. But that's the juice, right? That's the juice of the diversity of community. And when I think about these people that not just are soulies, but they become super soulies, and you're actually well on your way to the gold jacket.
Which in that thread I talked about, not liking gifts. I've been meaning to text you. Like, I don't need the gold jacket because I'll never wear it. So just save you time. I appreciate it, but I'll never wear it. So
I know it's totally campy. And there's a guy that's going to get the gold jacket, and I'm totally sending him the girly gold jacket. I realize it's totally campy. But yeah, it's a really special group of, it's like we have our own little office building, virtual office building, and have way before everybody was doing Zoom. So thank you again for being here. Y'all, Heather Esposito, check out her work, hire her. Just pick something and hire her. Have her clear your heart wall and go from there. If you're stuck, you don't even have to know what you need. I promise you will be helped and your mind will be blown about the work. And so with that, I am going to hit the end button. This is live on Facebook today, the 14th. You can join Soulies by going to coachwithallison.com. But by the time it's on the podcast, you can go to coachwithallison.com and get on the wait list, because we are closing the doors tomorrow. Today's Thursday, Friday. I'm going to wake up Saturday morning and close the doors. I'm not going to say I'm going to close them at midnight, because that means I have to stay up till fucking midnight, and Mom ain't doing that. But I'll wake up Saturday morning and I'll close the doors. So if you're watching live, you have the opportunity to come and be a Soulie in time for Heather's Friday Financial Freedom and in the group. And if not, get on the wait list for when we open the doors. Thanks, y'all. Have a great week.
Thank you.
As always, thanks for listening. Totally appreciate you thinking about somebody who might really love this episode and you sharing it with them. Also, I always appreciate your reviews. It's like podcast currency. It's like a tip in the jar saying thanks. And finally, if you want to share on social media, a screenshot, or any insights you get from listening to this episode, I will totally respond. You can share with the hashtag #BetterLifeBetterWorkShow. This show is sponsored by my 3 rescued dogs, Leroy Brown, Clementine, and Rocky Potato. They're here to remind you to consider adoption when you get your next pet. More is not better, better is better.